Hi guys, welcome to a new video. In this video we'll be making this half circle dress. It has a cutout in front. It is also off-shouldered with a sweetheart neckline. It also has pockets. If this is something you like, keep watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and also turn on your notifications so you'll be notified whenever I make a new post. Thank you. These are the materials we needing: my tape, my scissors, and about 4.5 yards of crepe fabric. But this crepe fabric is by 42 inches, not 60. I like to cut out a little bit of fabric to cut the upper part of this dress so it will be easy to work with on the table. And to do that, I'm going to be taking my bust circumference divided by 4, add an allowance of 2. The full length of my half length, add about 2 inches allowance. So I'm going to be cutting my front and my back piece together. To get the back piece, you add 2 inches to what you have on the front piece. So just your zip allowance basically. The first thing I'm going to be doing is ruling a line across the top part, which is going to serve as my shoulder line. Now, after taking my shoulder line, the next thing is to get other horizontal measurement. And because this is an off shoulder, you can choose to go in by 5, 6, or 7 inches depending on how low you want your off shoulder to be. But I like to use 6 because I feel like it's perfect for me. The next thing to do, taking in mind the 6 inches off, is to take my chest line, which is basically gotten from dividing your bust measurement by 6 and adding 1.5. I've also gone ahead to take my bust point, under bust, and the waistline for the upper part of this, which is 16 inches. I added 0.5 inch as my joining allowance to the lower part. I'm going ahead to replicate the lines on the other side, so I'm going to have a straight line when I rule this. So I've ruled all of my lines, and this is my chest line, my bust point, my under bust, and my waistline. Now on the chest line, I'm going to go ahead, take my bust circumference divided by 4, put whatever the value is, give 1 inch as allowance. To my waistline, I'm also going to divide my waist circumference by 4, put in the value, add 1 inch for allowance. This doesn't have any dart, so there will be no need to add any dart allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect the 2 points together. Please guys, be reminded that my vertical measurement starts from the front of this dress, not this part I'm labeling zip allowance. Please, that's just the zip allowance. The measurement doesn't start from there. I'll go ahead and take my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5. But since this is an off shoulder, the standard is to take away 2 inches from your shoulder measurement. So mine, instead of 7.5, will give me 5.5. And that's the point I've gone ahead to make. Now to get my armhole for this off shoulder, I'm going to go ahead and connect the point from my chest line to the shoulder line. That will give me my armhole curve for this. So that's all for the upper part of this dress. I'm going to go ahead and trace it out following the lines that I've made. Please guys, look clearly. I realize that this is not clear enough. To be fair, this fabric is a little difficult to draw on. After tracing everything out, I like to notch my zip allowance so I'll know where my zip allowance starts from on both the upper and the lower part. Now I'm going to separate the front and the back because I want different necklines for the both of them. For my front neckline, I want a sweetheart neck, so I'm going to go down by 1 inch in the middle, and then I'm just going to connect it to the side of this, just like you see me doing. I decided to use my free hand. In the process of drawing, I realized that 1 inch is a little too low, so I decided to go down by 1.5 inch so the sweetheart will come out properly. Now I'm tracing it out. The next thing to do is to achieve the cutout in the middle of this dress. If you look at the thumbnail, you see it there. Now you can decide to make this high directly underneath your under bust or wide, however you want it. There's no standard measurement to this, but if you like mine, you can use this. I went up by 1.5 inch for the upper part of this cutout, and I also went to the side by 1.5 inch, and then I connected in a triangular manner. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it out and show you what it looks like. This is what I cut out. This is what it looks like. This is my sweetheart neckline. I'm going to set this aside and work on the neckline for the back part. For the back neckline, I wasn't exactly sure what to do, so I just slanted it in a little bit. I went down at the zip allowance part, and now I'm just tracing it out. Don't forget to notch the start of your zip allowance. After opening the back, this is exactly what it looks like. For this back piece, I'm going to be using a facing. So I'm going to place this on a little piece of fabric and trace out the neckline. Maybe use 2 or 3 inches. This is exactly how you get a facing. This is what the facing looks like for the back piece. I tried to measure it so you'll see the inches, and it is exactly 2 inches. Now, because I want to reduce zip bulge, I like to use 1 inch for my zip allowance, but on the waistline, I'm going to use half an inch. This is me tracing it out just to reduce the zip bulge. To further reduce the zip bulge, I'm going to go in on the waistline by half an inch by the zipper allowance side, and then I'm going to connect it and fade it into the side of the top, just like you see me doing like this. Now for the facing of the front piece, I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate the front piece. Just like you're cutting out a lining piece, but I'm using the exact same fabric. So I have 2 pieces of this. Now for the lower part of this dress, if you look at it properly, you will see that it is a 180-degree flare skirt, which can also be called a half circle. And I'm going to be showing an illustration of how to cut a half triangle. I'm going to be folding it like this in a half triangle by the yardage. This is how you're going to be folding your material, just like you see me doing, like this. Now, after folding it properly, from this tip where my thumb is at, you're going to measure from that point to wherever your radius is. When you get the point where your radius is, you're going to draw a line there, and then you're going to get from that line that you have drawn your full length. You're going to go ahead and cut. Now I'm going to take my fabric to the floor because my table is too small and replicate what I've done with the paper. So this is me trying to fold my material into a half triangle. Please make sure it is properly flat so it will not have any rough edges underneath. The next thing to do is to take my radius from the tip. This is how I'm measuring it. So what you want to do is to measure 9.5 or whatever your radius gives you from the tip across the fabric, just like I've done. The next step to do is to measure the full length of what you want the lower part to be. From that point you have made, you're going to measure the full length. That's from the radius, from the point where your radius is, you're going to measure the full length of this dress. Because this is a flare, you want to go around measuring the exact same thing because it's like a circle and one point is not exactly the same as the other. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. If you are not, please watch what I'm doing. Now, after getting my exact measurement, the next thing to do is to add my sewing allowance to the top of this. So on top of the points I've made up, I'm going to be adding ½ inches round it, just like you see me doing. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out on the lines that I've made. That's me giving a notch in the middle and pinning it down so it will stay in place. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut out the lower part. Please don't forget to add 1 inch allowance to the lower part of this. I wanted mine to be 32 inches, so I made it 33 inches. After cutting the front part of this flare, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the back part. And the difference between the front and the back is just the zip allowance. So I measured 1 inch, placed the front on it, and then I traced out. Don't forget to notch the part where your zip allowance is supposed to start from. So this is me tracing out the front and the back together. So I'll have them to be very uniform. Please don't forget to pin. It will make your work easier and more convenient because this is a little bulky. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to be taking out the front piece and then I'm going to be opening the zip allowance because for the back, you need 2 pieces. So after opening, this is what it looks like. This is one side of the back piece and this is the other side. For the front piece, I'm going to place the front, place the facing on top, and then I'm going to go in by the sweetheart neckline with 1/2 inch. Do the same for the cutout. I decided to place hemming gum before I sewed so that it would be easy for me to turn. For the back facing, I'm going to add iron interfacing on it and hem the edge so it will look neat. So this is how I'm going to be placing it at the back of this. I'll do the same for both the left and the right part. I'm going to go ahead, sew it. Don't forget to use your hemming gum if you want it to have that clean finish. Now I've gone ahead to sew the cutout and I'm notching it so it will be easy for me to iron and turn out. It will look neat. I'll do the same for the back piece and turn it over just like you see me doing. After ironing the front piece, this is what it looks like for both the front and the back. You can see it is neat. This is also what the back looks like. Now, because this has a pocket, I'll be joining the upper and the lower part of the back together separately and that of the front separately, just like you see me doing. So this is me trying to join the lower part to the upper part of just the back piece first. So I'm going ahead to pin it by the waist, just like you see me doing, and then I'll go ahead and stitch it down by 1/2 inch. This is what it looks like after joining, so I'm going to go ahead and set it aside. I'm also going to go ahead and join the lower part of the front piece to the upper part, and to do this I'm trying to get the midpoint. We know there's a cutout and there's nothing there. I'm also going to get the midpoint and I'm going to place it on this line that is in the middle just to make sure that it is in the middle, and I'm going to go ahead, pin it up, go to my sewing machine and stitch it down by 1/2 inch. Guys, this is what it looks like. I've gone ahead to stitch it and this is how it came out. As you can see, that part is open, so I'm trying to close it down. And to close it down, I'm cutting a piece that is about 2 inches long and at least as wide as my waistline. So this is about 3 inches. Now to close up that part that has an opening, that's the cutout, I wanted to use a facing for just that part, but I feel like it will look better if I use it for the whole of the waistline. So after cutting out what I'm using, this is me trying to pin it up. Please guys, you can go back to see how I place it. You're going to place this as though you are trying to cover it up, so when you fold it, it will cover that part. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and iron it properly. So after ironing properly, this is what it looks like. As you can see, it came out neatly. Now you can go ahead, use your needle to tack it to the fabric so it will stay in place. To get my ruche in the front, if you look at the thumbnail, you see that there's a style on it. I've gone ahead to measure that part and it is 6 inches. So I'll be cutting out a piece of elastic that's about 4 inches long. You can choose to make yours 3, but I don't think anything less than 3 will be nice. So this is me trying to place this elastic of 4 inches on where I have measured that is 6 inches, just to give it that little ruche like you have seen on my thumbnail. I'll go to my sewing machine and follow the rubber to the end. I'll also go ahead and tack a little bit. For my back piece, I'm going to go ahead, join the both of them together and put my zipper. So the first thing I'm going to do is to measure where I want my zipper to stop, which is about 13 inches. Remember, this is an off-shoulder dress. So I marked the point and then I went down the remaining points by 1 inch. After I've gone ahead to stitch down the rubber and tack the facing for the waistline, this is what the front of this dress looks like. The next step is to go ahead and cut the pocket for this dress, and the easiest way to cut a pocket is to actually measure around your finger. So you're just going to place your hand just like you see me doing, and then give it an allowance of maybe 1.5 inch to 1 inch to 2 inch, depending on how wide or big you want the pocket to be, and then just cut around your finger just like you see me doing. That's the easiest way to cut your pocket. I'll be needing 4 pieces of this, and so I have about 2 pieces. So this 2 pieces is just for one pocket, that's for the left side of this pocket. I'll go ahead and cut 2 extra pieces for the right side of this pocket. Now, to place this pocket that we have cut, you are going to go down from your waistline by 2 inches on both the left and the right side of your front piece, just like I'm doing. I decided to notch it to make it easier for me. Now, after I've finished notching this, I'm going to place one side of this pocket, right side facing right side, just like I'm doing. Please watch closely. I'll pin this down so it will stay in place, just like you see me doing. I'll do the same for the other side of this front piece, the other side that I've notched. So after pinning down, I actually went ahead and just used a loose stitch to follow the part of the pins down, just so that this will stay in place. This thing I'm doing for the front part of this dress, I'll go ahead and do it for the back piece also. Now this is me trying to replicate the same for the back piece, just like I said. After I'm done doing that, the next thing is to place the front and the back piece right side facing right side. This is the easiest way to sew anything with a pocket. You can go ahead to pin this down so it will be easy for you, just like I'm doing. I'm going ahead to pin the front and the back of this piece together, right side facing right side, just like I'm doing. The next step is to go to my sewing machine and sew by 1 inch down into the pocket by 1/2 inch, come out and go down by 1 inch. I'll do the same for the other side. So I go 1 inch, I'll go in by 1/2 inch by the pocket side, come out and then continue by 1 inch down to the bottom of this dress. After sewing it, this is what it looks like. I've also gone ahead to insert a zipper at the back, and this is what the dress is looking like. This is the pocket. You can see it came out nicely. The next thing is to go ahead and insert my sleeve. Now, I'd have preferred my sleeves to be fuller, but this is all the fabric I have left. So this fabric is about 12 inches wide and about 25 inches long. I've gone ahead to hem the top of this by 1/2 inch to take in my elastic. I'm also going ahead to mark my allowance because I'm about to cut out the armhole for the hand. The easiest way to do this for an off shoulder is to place the armhole of the dress on the sleeve and cut it out exactly. Remember, we're going to be folding it in by 1 inch, which is the allowance. That's why I've left space for the allowance. So you're just going to place it and trace it out. That's the easiest way to cut out your armhole for an off shoulder dress. So I placed both sides of the sleeve together. So this is me making sure it is neat. This is what it looks like for both sleeves when I'm done. This is it. I'll also go ahead and hem the bottom of this sleeve because I'm also going to be inserting an elastic into it. Now for my elastic, I ended up using an elastic of 8 inches for the upper part and I think 6 inches for the lower part. Just use what works for you because I think it differs depending on your size and what you prefer. After doing that, I'll go ahead and use a safety pin to insert the rubber into the casing. After I'm done, this is what the sleeve looks like. This is what it looks like. I've also gone ahead to take it in by 1 inch by the side. Just close it up. So the next thing to do is to attach it to the dress. You're just going to be placing it just like you see me doing This will be so easy to place because you use the armhole of the dress to cut out the armhole of the sleeve, so it will just be seamless for you. You're just going to go ahead and pin it up from one end to the other. This is what it looks like. You're going to go ahead and stitch it by 1/2 inch. I'm done stitching it, and this is exactly what it looks like, guys. I like the way that this came out. This is what it looks like. This is the sleeves. This is what it looks like. The last step is to hem the bottom, so you're just going to hem. If you are a beginner, you can use a bias to run it around, so it will be easy for you. So guys, after using a bias strip to hem the bottom of this dress, this is the finished look. This is what it looks like. I like the way that it came out. Guys, please, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, share, and also turn on notifications so you'll be notified whenever I make a new post. Thank you so much for watching, and I also hope to see you in my next video. Bye.